Victims of domestic violence are often isolated and live with the risk of abuse daily. Social distancing and home isolation, which has been deemed critical to help stop the spread of COVID-19, could be making an already tenuous situation worse. While courts in Massachusetts are closed to the public through April 6th, emergency restraining and harassment order cases are still being heard. I discussed the details with Mary Kociela, Northwest District Attorney's Director of the Domestic and Sexual Violence Project.
The issue really is that domestic violence is such a serious problem anyway, even when you're not having a pandemic. A lot of times there are ways that you might find respite because batterers will often isolate their victims. In our area in particular, it's very rural. You may not have a lot of outside contacts, or your batterer may prevent you from having outside contact. So if your children are in school or you're working, or maybe you have contact with a neighbor down the street, those might be ways that you connect with the outside world. So now you have a situation where schools are closed, your children are home, there's social distancing, we're not supposed to be getting close to people, and your people are working from home when possible. So it does really create a greater ability for batterers to isolate their victims, which is very concerning.
Yeah, and it seems like the isolation will extend. This is breaking news this morning, but Governor Baker has extended the work from home order. So all non-essential businesses are going to be closing as of tomorrow. And there's a complete list on the governor's website of what that non-essential means. But just briefly, that's grocery stores and pharmacies will remain open, some other businesses too. But Mary, back to the issue at hand here. Have you heard from people, or maybe the neighbor that you talked about, that other person that someone who may be in a difficult situation is often connecting with? Have you heard from either the person themselves or the person they might connect with that they're concerned about their situation right now, especially given what's happening with COVID-19?
I'm not someone who does direct service, but I would not be at all surprised if the local hotlines are experiencing those kinds of calls. And really, our office, what we've been wanting to do is make sure that we get the word out that those hotlines are still open and that the court, even though it's closed, you can still get a restraining order. We're worried that people are going to think that everything is shut down, and so therefore they don't have, the resources that they might normally lean on. I can tell you one of the projects that we run is the Domestic Violence Intervention Project, where we have victims who call the police, and then they get connected immediately to an advocate who can offer support. And that program, in the last few days, we were still receiving calls. So I was, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I never like to know that we're getting calls from victims, but at the same time, I was happy to see that they were still utilizing the service.
So to give folks some more specifics about this, courts are closed to the public right now through April 6th. But as you said, emergency restraining orders and those harassment orders are still happening and being heard. What's the process for that?
Even before this, if you needed a restraining order on the weekend or an evening when the courts were closed, you could do that through the police department, and the police department will call the on-call judge, and you'd be able to get a temporary order. Right now, what they're saying is that even though the courts are closed, that you can still get even a new restraining order just by contacting the court. The other thing that I would say is if you already have a restraining order and it's due to expire, the same thing could be said. And I believe that it will automatically be extended because the courts are closed, but I would recommend that people call their local police department to just confirm that their order will continue in the face of this virus.
If someone is new to this situation and they're listening to us and they say, you know what, I do need this type of a protective order, it's going possibly to be life-saving for me, what do people need to do to take the steps? What type of information do they need to relate to either your office or a police department's office?
There's a couple things you can do. The hotlines are also still staffed 24/7. So in Springfield and in Franklin County and Hampshire County, Hamden County, there are hotline numbers, and there's even a Spanish language hotline. Those advocates that answer the phone can help somebody to come up with a safety plan that fits for them. You know, another issue is with the kids out of school, not only are you more isolated at home, but the children are as well. So we're very concerned about increases in child abuse as well. Number one, you can reach out to your local hotline number to get confidential, safe support and try to think about what's a safety plan that would fit my needs. One of the parts of a safety plan could be a restraining order. And if that's the case, there are safe plan advocates who work out of the same organizations as the hotline, so they can quickly connect you to the safe plan advocate who can assist you in getting a restraining order. You also can call the court directly, or you can call the police department, or you could call our office, the district attorney's office. So there's a lot of options there.
You mentioned a safe plan, and one element of that possibly could be a restraining order. But what's another element of a safe plan that someone might use to help protect themselves?
A lot of times what we talk with folks about is to think about what is your support system? Who are the people in your life that you trust, that you feel like you can share information with? You know, how old are your children? Can you talk with them about the safety plan and what you would do if you needed to get out quickly? In more severe cases, we talk with victims about actually preparing a bag that they get ready, you know, in case they have to leave quickly. Maybe staying out of the kitchen where the sharp knives are. If you know that your abuser has weapons, you know, having an awareness of that, talking to the police about that. There's all kinds of things that you can do within the home to try and remain safe.
Mary, when we think about abuse and talk about abuse, oftentimes people think about physical violence. But as I was reading on your website, it's not always about physical violence. Abuse is defined in a number of ways, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, in fact, the emotional abuse can be just as devastating. I've talked to victims who have said that they felt like they were dying inside because over time, if you're constantly experiencing put-downs and embarrassment and just being treated like a non-person, that wears on you after a while. And if it's happening in front of your children, it's even worse.
Earlier in our conversation, you mentioned some of the programs that are typically available through the district attorney's office, which you work with. What's happening to that programming now during COVID-19 when we're being asked to stay home unless essential? We have some essential needs.
Well, right now, most of the staff in our unit are working from home. The person who coordinates the DVIP program that I referred to a minute ago, where we have advocates who respond to calls from police, that person, this is still operational. Coordinator of that project is working from home. And if we become aware of a situation that's happening with one of our current high-risk cases, then we can all mobilize to deal with that. Or we've also let our partners know that they can still continue to make referrals if they become aware of a case that they deem to be high risk. And when I say high risk, I mean high risk that this abuser could kill their partner.